Hello everybody, I'm Concrete History Games. Welcome back to part 3 of my now Black Belt Republic campaign here in Hearts of Iron 4 KX. So we read this last time, and what we are going to do is we're going to rout this this national, force trying to march on our legislature. So that's going to hurt us in terms of stability and manpower, and it's also going to make the totalists even stronger. So who's actually the strongest here? Yeah, it's them and the Nation of Islam are like tied right now in terms of the internal political power. Did we just get an extra military factory? Let's get... We gotta go in on these tanks hard. We just don't have much in terms of recruitable population. The PSA wants to sign a non-aggression pact with us. You know what? You got it, buddy. The judge. This guy's very young. He's not even 30 and he's running the country. If you say so, y'all. Provisional Supreme Court. I don't know what kind of new interesting things go on out there in the PSA, so another day. Now if we just take a look here though at the Federalists, I'm trying to see if my units are strong enough that we could take them on if we wanted to. Also, before I forget, let's talk about Henry Johnson. So, Henry Johnson, now this is a guy that I genuinely actually have no idea why he's still alive, because I'm pretty sure that he died in the 20s of, like, tuberculosis, which is not something you get from fighting in World War I. But historically, he did fight in World War I, and came back to the United States and gave speaking tours and talked about what his service was like. And he actually caught a lot of crap because sometimes he would go out onto the lecture circuit, and he talked about what it was actually like in terms of being a black man in the World War I United States Army, where sometimes you had like segregated trenches and stuff like that. As wild as that may be to hear. The nationalists fail. Let me read this, and then I'll talk about Johnson. The nationalist march on our Congress failed today despite their numbers, with our army managing to rout them and arrest the march leaders. Elijah Muhammad has fled the nation, while most of the UNIA leadership has already been arrested. Oh yeah, because I forgot, it's not just the Nation of Islam, the paternal autocrats were helping out here too. So while some are upset the resources it cost us us to end this would-be coup will destroy our nation, the socialists claim it was necessary and are celebrating their victory over the reactionaries. Very well, so we're going to get more stability, paternal autocrats and national populists get significantly less popular, and our political power goes up. So now the totalists are in a very good position. They're at 20%. The Socialist Party that we are is still at 18%. Of course, remember, the so-called Black Unity League is really, really fractured. Now, Henry Johnson. So he won... He has posthumously been given several awards for his service in World War I, and rather than try to bumble my way through explaining what it is he did, I thought I would just read this. Okay, the actual official citations. Let me pull this up. Going through usarmy.mil, go to the official citation. Okay, so Private Henry Johnson. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. Private Johnson distinguished himself by acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as a member of Company C, 369th Infantry Regiment, 93rd Division, American Expeditionary Forces during combat operations against the enemy on the front lines of the Western Front in France on March 15, 1918. Private Johnson and another soldier were on sentry duty at a forward outpost when they received a surprise attack from a German raiding party consisting of at least 12 soldiers. Hold on. Let's pause that. And you know what? Let's get a little background music, I guess. While under intense enemy fire and despite receiving significant wounds, Private Johnson mounted a brave retaliation, resulting in several enemy casualties. When his fellow soldier was badly wounded, Private Johnson prevented him from being taken prisoner by German forces. Private Johnson exposed himself to grave danger by advancing from his position to engage an enemy soldier in hand-to-hand combat. Wielding only a knife and gravely wounded himself, Private Johnson continued fighting and took his bolo knife and stabbed it through an enemy soldier's head. Displaying great courage, Private Johnson held back the enemy force until they retreated. Private Johnson's extraordinary heroism and selflessness above and beyond the call of duty are in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. So he was not actually awarded that until 2014, 2015-ish. But there's an interesting lithograph here. Let me see if I can pull this up here of the incident. So check this out. And this, I think, belongs to the Tennessee State Library. That's where they have this. But anyway, thought you guys would like that. Anyway, let's move on. The future of the nation. With the nationalists having been felled and a lack of internal common enemy, there is now widespread disagreement between socialists and liberals on the future of the nation. The syndicalist, communist, and other revolutionary left factions explicitly want us to include the, quote, People's Amendments within our Constitution, which will restructure Congress partially after the Commune of France and have trade union representatives elected directly by workers, becoming the largest force in our Congress and guarantees of rights to the full value of their labor. Furthermore, it will limit the ability of pro-capitalist parties to challenge the syndicalist system, though they disagree on how far to go in this regard. However, the first draft will at least strongly limit capitalist wealth and the ability to found large businesses, disallow capitalist and reactionary influence of the political system, and illegalize, quote, collaboration with extreme anti-democratic and or foreign pro-capitalist and pro-imperialist forces, unquote. The liberals and the progressives have accused the revolutionary left of attempting to have a monopoly on political power and of de facto excluding non-revolutionary left forces, calling it a de facto dictatorship, an accusation the syndicalists resent. They have put forward the Constitution of the Black Republic, which contains universal suffrage within a traditional political model, with regional voting, separation of powers, and the limitation of government power, including in allowing some level of private property, which they say is necessary not only for liberty but for economic growth. Economic growth, investment, and prosperity. With Du Bois having executive power and a major political win since felling the right nationalists, he will have to decide on one. So, it's even though it's called the People's Amendments, it's effectively two different constitutions that are being proposed here. And so, drum roll please, we are going with the liberal constitution, which will increase our base stability, our base war support, our manpower, our political power, and take away 8% of the popularity of the syndicalists and 10% of the popularity of the totalists. So if we look now, the Socialist Party is the strongest around. Republican Party under Charlie Young is number 2, and then there's a bit of a gap before we hit the Progressive Democratic Party. Also, because we have extra political power, we can now start to take some of these things. I think that what we want to do here is perhaps grab the generic tank company. I'm really going to be going in hard on these tanks, hoping that they're going to be our salvation, help us get some encirclements down the line. Sound super events. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I have them silenced right now. Oh, yeah, because I had them silenced for when I was, getting the game set up initially. So, wow, pretty. We're only 36 days into our time as the Black Revolt. So, because we're still on our very first focus, so something about Lenin and years happening in weeks, huh? Or decades and weeks, yeah, anyway. So if we wanted to justify a war goal on anybody else, we actually could right now, and because the tension is just high enough for us being, radical socialists, because I think it has to be at 50%. If we switch to one of these others, I'm trying to remember where you could see what, or like the thing that shows you what tension is needed. I think we're just going to have to find another area. But anyway, if we wanted to justify, let's say on the American Union state, because we do have a claim on some of these areas, we could be at war in 100 days. If we wanted to go after the CSA, it would only take 25 days. Now that's interesting. What's up with that? Huh. We have no such goal on the United States. Well, it wouldn't make much sense right now for us to go to war with the combined syndicates while we are radical socialists. But I don't think we're going to be radical socialists for very much longer. Although W.E.B. Du Bois could, in fact, stay in charge. But I guess it's not a spoiler to say that if I was going to go radical socialist, I would have just done the Constitution. I think the way that it works here is because the Socialist Party is sort of in two wings. You can have the W.E.B. Du Bois, if I'm remembering correctly. He could get in charge. He just basically switches what branch of the Socialist Party he runs under, so he becomes a reformist instead of being the mainstream. So the Liberal Republic, we have adopted a liberal constitution, and with it the revolutionary socialists are furious as it essentially blocks their program and weakens their stance in Congress. Meanwhile, the liberals are enthused, and more middle-class blacks view our republic as an attractive prospect. An election is to be held in a month to decide the ruling party of the Black Belt. Yeah, so we're not going to have Du Bois in charge. If I was going to do Du Bois, I would have just gone, with the People's Amendments Constitution. Instead, we're going to do radical centrism, baby. And I'll explain why in a little bit. Well, I guess I could just explain now. So the reason why I want to do that is because you essentially have three, I guess you could call them foreign policy branches here. What we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing an American identity. Those who look to socialism or race nationalism are deluding themselves. Our identity and ideals is fundamentally American, even if America failed to live up to its ideals. We shall emphasize a common American heritage and seek acceptance from America at large. So in order to do this, we have to be authoritarian Democrats, social conservatives, market liberals, or social democrats. Which will be available to us because we're doing the liberal constitution. And so this is now where I'm going to talk about the long-term goals. We can then choose to reach inward, where we just don't really do anything. Boring, but understandable. This sort of an option should be here for the AI to take. But what we are going to then do is we are going to reclaim the states. We are going to attempt to reunify the United States of America under our Black Belt Republic, under a new constitution. So that is the long-term goal, where we can eventually, there's like this conditional reintegration where we could, I guess, just, I'm actually not sure. I don't know if this means that we, it's like we surrender to them. Absolutely not. And it's like, oh, but you have to make conditions better for black people. Screw that. We're in charge now. So the idea is going to be that we eventually want to take a new America, where we will be the new United States of America. But in order to do that, we have to control every American state. And seeing as there's Alaska, and okay, Hawaii didn't break off, thank goodness for that, I guess, but still that means, wait, actually, is Alaska considered part of it? I don't know if we have to take that. Maybe not Alaska, but there's still at least the Pacific states, Texas, the American Union state, the combined syndicates of America, the United States of America, and New England. That's 6 different, sub-nations or independent nations. I don't know, whatever, however you want to define them, that we have to defeat. Not the hardest path that's possible as the Black Belt Republic, but plenty hard enough, I think, for my first time playing them. So we'll try that. And if it goes well, which presumably it will, I might do a live stream where I do another path, take one of the harder paths. Because there's things where you could go and you, you're fighting out here in Africa, or you're fighting in the Caribbean, and it's wild stuff, and joining different factions. I don't think that we can actually join a faction if we go down this path, because we're just being isolationist and trying to create a new country. But that's the plan. We're probably... Do I even want to take anything? The election's going to be in a month, or do I want to save that political power? You know what? Actually, yes. Let's come down here to our military tree, because after this we're going to be dealing with... we can get a couple hundred fighters here. That's pretty cool. But let's pick which path we're going to go down. And I think what we're going to do is the Young Plan. Yeah, we're going to do the Young Plan and Grand Battle Plan Doctrine. Charles Young's doctrine focuses on traditional planning, scouting, superior reconnaissance, and building an all-round professional, well-trained army under talented generals. This will help with our organization, recovery rate, max training, planning speed, max planning, and command power increase plus 10%. As well as giving us some army experience and, the command power cap thing. Alright. What else could we do here? Our stability is good, so we're not going to ever do the workers' conditions, I think. Now, to demobilize the economy, 95 days. Figure 30 days before the election happens. And then after that, 25 days to justify on the CSA. So we definitely will not have to mobilize our economy if I'm understanding that correctly. Though admittedly things are going a little bit slow here. Now, it says here we have a large river crossing and we've got divisions that are still preparing, so that's the main thing that is slowing us down right now. Now we should be able to advance a fair amount initially. I don't know how far we are going to get. Now, did New England end up... Yeah, New England ended up joining the Entente, so that's going to be a long-term problem, of course. Because then we're going to have to take on the Entente. So I'm trying to think what's the best order we should be attacking everybody in. I'm right now leaning the combined syndicate so that I can isolate the Federalist. Clan growth. The clan has seen increased growth along with their followers linking up more effectively with other White League groups. Attacks on our politicians and officers have grown more common, as have bombs being planted in strategic locations and threats to kill those who cooperate with our government. Bastards. We're going to have organized clan resistance now, which hurts our daily political power gain, lowers our recruitable population factor, and lowers our stability. But I think we're going to have something in a decision tab that can help deal with that. Okay, Sweden is gone. Sweden and Norway, or Canada and Norway defeated them. I wonder what that was all about. And, okay, so there's 2 wars are gone, and it already feels like the calendar is moving a little bit faster. Okay, weed out the clan. Yeah, it's going to cost me 400 manpower, but gotta do it. Can't have the clan in here. Unacceptable. Now, let's get working on our various agencies and stuff. Of course, we'll go some anti-partisan, and then eventually we want to do the spy master, so we can have more than one. But I think we're going to have, a fair amount of resistance that we'll have to deal with as we go. Oh, what's happening? Lag. We're just frozen now. What just happened? Okay. Yeah, I think the time has come where I finally need to overclock my processor. This thing's been going for, it's almost 4 years old now. So, might finally be time. But it also could just be that Kaiserreich Redo doesn't really move as fast as other mods. Huh. Yeah, this is not good at all. But let's... Oh, we got primaries, though, to keep us busy. So, the Socialist Party has a split within it to determine a program between the moderates and the radicals. Du Bois leads the radicals and argues that an alternative to capitalism is necessary, whereas the moderates, led by Philip A. Randolph, are more strongly opposed to radical socialism and want to work within a more capitalist framework. As the primary between them heats up, it has come down to a race between the radical Du Bois and the moderates, who are split between the labor leader Philip Randolph and prominent activist Robert Sengstack Abbott, who has strong support among the Gula people. Okay, so this Abbott guy, I admittedly don't know much about, but I think the Gula people are essentially like these like deep rural areas in the deep south, mostly in Georgia. Actually, the current actually let me look this up. I'm gonna look this up. The Gula people, but I believe that the current Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas is like Gula, that he has, because so it's like a separate language. There's a lot more African influence there and stuff. Let me see here. I'm trying to look into this. Yes, I am correct. Yeah, he is Gula. So like English was his second language, I think. Anyway, and then Philip Randolph was another prominent African American labor union who founded the NALC, which was the Negro American Labor Council, which was a specifically black trade union. Or, like, not a trade union, I'm confusing it with the Brotherhood of the Sleeping Car Proletariats, but, yeah, he had been, at this point, it's the 1930s, he had been the head of the Brotherhood for, like, over 10 years, because that was in the 20s. So, yeah, obviously, really, really prominent guy, totally understandable, while he would be one of the Social Democrat leaders. And actually, later in his life, we're talking in the 50s, ended up becoming the vice president of the AFL-CIO when it merged. The AFL being the American Federation of Labor, and the CIO being the Congress of Industrial Organizations. And lived for a pretty damn long time. I think he lived to be almost 100, so he was at the March on Washington in '63. So... yeah, I'm not going to look it up right now, but he lived to be pretty old. So anyway, I think that Du Bois, though, would be the obvious candidate. Like, he's the person who's, like, kind of the original executive leader and has just led them to victory. So why would the socialists not, even if he's technically a radical socialist, not a social democrat, like, why would he not be the one nominated by them? All right. You know what, since I'm going to make a guide on this, I'll probably start talking less about who the individual political leaders are right now. Yeah, you know, this is why we really have to unify America, so that we can get the calendar ticking faster. Now, you know, I just thought would have been nice, a nice little detail they could have done here is if they had used the black-skinned units here, because they do exist. Or is there maybe a way, can I change the 3D model over here? Maybe that's what I gotta do. It's like, who's most of our stuff? We have these, they're mostly militia, right? Can I change the model? Cultural, genetic. Oh man, yeah, they should have had, it's not a huge deal, but the soldiers, the little 3D models probably should be black. I'm just saying. Doesn't affect the gameplay, I'm just saying. Alright, so we have our first Liberty Party convention. The Liberty Party is a loose coalition of intellectuals, social activists, those formerly affiliated with the liberal wings of the mainstream parties, and non-Socialist Party of America NAACP members who have made it clear that their agenda is devoted to welfare capitalism, political liberalism, and social advancement for black Americans via institutional regulations and social progressivism. What is all this? We've got nationalists and socialists and coalitions, and I thought that all black voters were a monolith. Excuse me while I faint. Anyway, the election has come down to NAACP leader Roy Wilkins, another guy who was a, I don't want to say he was a mentor to Martin Luther King. He was more of a peer, might be the better way to say it. Lawyer and activist Edith Sampson, and young lawyer and NAACP activist Thurgood Marshall. So, you know, seriously, who else could it be? Thurgood Marshall, who would be quite young at this stage. But hey, if you could have Lyndon Johnson, you know, who's so young, he hadn't even joined the service yet. Why not have Thurgood Marshall? He's 30. That's plenty old. Yeah. 30-year-old Thurgood Marshall. Let's make him president. The joys of Kaiserreich. Okay, our first operative here is ready. Annalie Moss. She's tough. She's a natural orator. Intel network strength gain. You know, we're not dealing with any active resistance issues now, so let's actually get her and use her to build up some intel on the combined syndicates. Fantastic. Getting a little nervous about the timetable here, though, because we still have people that we haven't nominated yet. Yeah, I hope this works. All right, so I'm trying to think though what order we want to take everybody out in. It looks like the American Union State is going to lose. As I've said before, the more, like, whenever you have these mods where the eastern half of the United States just fractures more and more and more, it just makes the Pacific states even stronger every time you do that. And that is a problem, because the Pacific states will very quickly join the Entente probably as soon as the war is over. So I think after we fight the combined syndicates, we need to go after the Pacific states, even though the Federalists are just this little rump state right now. We might have to do that just to kind of keep the Federalists alive, if that makes sense, because like we'll be a buffer because we'll have this area, but we won't be at war with the U.S. So then the Pacific states can't get to them. But the thing is, there could be the what do you call it? The Rocky Mountain ceasefire that gets created, and so then the Pacific states and the United States could like split the nation in half. All right, now I think we're not going to take any events or take any focuses until the election happens. So let's see, this stuff, 42 days, 42 days, 42 days. None of these are like particularly amazing. Nicaragua just joined the Revolutionary Front. So we'll just wait. How much political power are we getting a day? We're getting almost 2, as long as we don't take anything. So, AUS split in half, but they have Minneapolis. Gosh, I really don't like how slow this is going. You know what? We're just gonna let's do a cut, and I'll come back when there's an event. Okay, well that actually didn't take long. So it's now time for the new Republican Party, made up of a coalition of businessmen, the middle class, and followers of the late Washington Booker's black self-help philosophy. The new Republican Party was founded by, unsurprisingly, blacks who were part of the mainstream of the anti-Old Democratic Party Republican Party in the South, advocating a more laissez-faire, business-friendly republic as the way to prosperity. They have put forward prominent businessmen C.C. Spalding and famed writer Zora Neale Hurston as their candidates, who I talked about earlier. Or we could do, Henry Johnson. Henry Lincoln Johnson. Which is not to be confused, by the way, with Henry Johnson, that's this general down here, because this guy's actual first name is William, so different Johnson. Let's go with Zora. Market liberals, put a woman in charge. Still got to wait a little bit before the actual election happens. Let's get building some more military factories. I hope I don't regret this. All right. Now, the one thing that's going to make things a bit easier for us, and one of the reasons why I wanted to go the Democratic path, at least on this first time I played through as the Black Revolt, is because, this tree is enormous, is because we can get cores. So, for example, when we finish the old Democrats, which I love that it's them, the image is them lynching a KKK member, just fantastic. Then we're going to be able to get some cores there. And we could also get some more cores here when we do American Federation. So, we just have more cores here. Also, when we route the Federalists, we've got options, is what I'm saying. So now we just wait. Can we get to the election before the end of the thing? And then also I'm gonna, in between this and the next recording, I'm gonna save and see what I can do about my processor. Like I said, it might be overclock time. It's been a long time, but might finally be due for it. And if that doesn't work, I don't know. I wouldn't just buy a new processor, because like if you guys are fine with it, I'm fine with it. What I'll do is maybe if the overclocking isn't working, I might just do like I did with the capture card. Maybe say like, okay, let's in a week try to see if we can raise the money in super chats and donations for the processor. And if people don't donate enough for it, then that's going to tell me, okay, people are fine with it, which is fine with me. Whatever you guys want. As I've said before, the money that you guys donate to the channel will typically just go right back into the channel. It's what keeps it going. Either directly or indirectly. Anyway, we're just waiting for that election to happen. I'm wondering if I want to get another agency up and running. I don't think I really need to. This liberating of the workers seems to be working pretty well. Like we're actually able, we're able to get. We've got the guns. We've got the manpower now. Probably was never really much of a problem to begin with. Let's get some more divisions trained. I should have been doing this earlier. Iqua has declared war on Jabal Shamar. Yeah, because we're on extensive conscription, guys. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but not it's not a whole lot that we can draw on. We don't even have all of the southeast, which is hardly the most populated portion of the United States anyway. Come on, hit me with that election. Let's try zooming in on Ocean Tile. That usually speeds things up. Yeah, this is unacceptable at 5 speed. I don't know why it's doing this. This did not happen in testing. And yeah. Oh, Caesar. I know, Caesar. I know. It is a little frustrating. Because you know what? Better processors do not make up for poor game design. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not blaming any devs or anything here, but it's one of those things that, like, I don't know if this is just my CPU or if it's an actual, like, major problem with this. The Peace Party, which, I don't know, maybe there's something that needs to be patched, because I've seen things before where, oh, Peace Party and Father Divine. You know, we're going to end it here so that I can talk about Father Divine at the start of the next episode, but I've seen it before where, like, you know, I'll be playing a mod and it's going extremely slow, and then a patch comes in and it goes super fast, and I didn't change anything, so it's like there was some sort of issue and they needed to fix it. Anyway, I'm Conquering History Games. In the next episode, we'll read this event, and I'll talk a little bit about Father Divine, who is a wild figure. See you then. Bye.